Hey guys, today we're going to learn how to hand sew our very own mask, which is something that, you need nowadays. And this one was my example. We're not going to use this black fabric because I kind of thought it was pretty hard to see. So in your kits, you're going to use your 2 pieces of fabric. In your kit, you got these 2 pieces of white fabric that were like this size and a black stretchy piece of cord kind of. And yesterday you should have stamped one of your pieces. So now you have one white piece of fabric that's stamped, one white piece of fabric that is not stamped. And the other materials you're going to need are this black cord. You're going to need a sewing needle and your little needle threader, and a pair of scissors and some thread. I'm still going to use pink thread today because I think I like how it looks. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to thread our needle. And just like yesterday, we learned that when we're threading our needle, we get our piece of thread that's as long as our wingspan. So it goes from one end where I'm holding the thread to the other end where I'm holding the spool. And I stretch it out across my whole body, and then I cut it right from the spool. Then I take my needle and my little thready, and I put it through the hole so that I have a wire diamond. And then I put one end of the thread through that wire, pull it for a little bit, and then I grab my threader and pull it out until the thread is just in the needle and no longer in the threader. So now my needle is threaded. I grab the 2 ends of my thread, so I take one end, boop, one end like this, match them up. So I have 2 ends, hard to see. And then I'm gonna do a booger knot. So we learned this in yesterday's video. It's very easy and it's the best hand sewing knot, I swear. So you take it, like your finger, pinch, wrap, wrap, wrap 3 times, and then using your fingers, you give it a little wiggle and you roll it off and pull. All right? So that gives you a nice knot. And now we have a threaded needle. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to turn the camera down a little bit so you can see. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our piece that we stamped, and there's a right side and then there's a wrong side. And the right side is the side that you stamped, and the wrong side is the back. So we're going to put our right sides together. So that means that we put the part that's stamped facing down, kind of like a sandwich. So we have our 2 inside pieces facing together. And we're gonna sew this line and this line. All right, the top and the bottom lines. We're not gonna sew the sides yet. So you can go ahead and take your thread, and then just like we did yesterday, you're just gonna go in and out, sewing a line across your mask. So you basically just want it to do something like this. We're just gonna create a little dotted line that goes all the way across here, just a little ways in. You don't want to leave too much space up here. So, maybe that's like a 1/4 of an inch from the top we want to be sewing. And this will take just a little bit of time, and you'll get better at hand sewing the more you do it. But we're just making little stitches. We want to be careful not to make the stitches too big, and we want to be careful not to twist our fabric or our thread. Make sure your stitches are pulled tight, and we're just going to go straight across the whole thing. I like to do a couple stitches at a time. You might only want to do 1 or 2. That's totally up to you. But I always tend to do 3 stitches at a time. That seems to work well for me. But like I said before, we're not making our stitches very big, because the smaller the stitches, the stronger the seam. And we want quite a strong seam for this mask. All right, so when you get to the end of the top of your pieces here, we're gonna tie a knot. And if you remember, I showed you how to do this yesterday. You take your needle, you put it into the fabric right where you landed, put your hands through the loop, grab the needle, pull. Give it a couple yanks. Do that one more time. Through, grab the needle, pull. All right, so we do that. Cut. I probably don't have enough thread to do the bottom, so I'm just gonna rethread my needle really quickly. I hate running out of thread. It's like my least favorite thing. So I always err on the side of safety. And if you don't need your needle threader to thread the needle, you can go right ahead and put the thread right through on your own. I usually don't use a needle threader. All right, and then we match up our ends. Give our finger a lick, pinch, wrap, 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 wiggle, wiggle, and roll that thread. Ooh, this one's tight. Right off. Give it a pull. I have a booger knot. I'm going to do the same thing on this side right here. Make sure that your fabric isn't folded like mine just was. It's all matched up nice and pretty. And we're just going to do the exact same line on the bottom here. Now, the reason that this mask has 2 pieces of fabric is because the more layers of fabric you use when you're making a mask, the more effective the mask is at protecting other people from your germs. So fabric masks aren't the same as the masks that doctors wear in hospitals. But if every single person wears a mask just like the one that we're going to make, or any kind of fabric, even a bandana, anything over their mouth, it would stop the whole spread of the coronavirus much faster. So we're making masks so that we can do our part and help keep people safe and healthy, right? All right, so you're just sewing the bottom. We're like cruising along. You know, now we got our jam on. We got this figured out. We're like, woo, hand sewing is easy, huh? We're making those stitches nice and little. We're matching the top. Just cruising. Okay, we're almost done with this part. Alrighty, my friends. So once you get to the end, I'm just gonna go super fast. We're gonna do that knot that I told you guys about. That's the one where we go into the fabric just a little bit right where we landed. Tie it off twice. Give it a good yank and cut, right? So right here, right where we landed, oops. Right where we landed, into the fabric, grab the needle through the loop, pull, 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 do it again. Through the fabric, hand through the loop, grab the needle, pull, pull, pull. All right, now we cut. Now this is enough thread for me to sew this side, so I am gonna just do another booger knot right here. And the next thing we need to do is turn our little, we made kind of like a little tube. We're gonna turn it in right side out so you can reach right in there and flip it. And this is how we would make a pillow if we were making a pillow. This basically, all that does is it hides our sewing so we can't see it from the outside. So what we actually have at the end is a piece that looks like this. So all of our sewing is tucked away. I'm going to cut any of these little weird threads that are sticking out. And the next thing that we do is pretty easy, but it does require this black cord. So you're going to lay your cord down like there, fold this over, and then being very careful not to sew our cord down, we are going to sew this line right here. So in your kit, you guys have a couple pins this would be a good place to put a pin. And I don't have a pin next to me, so I don't have one to show you, but I'll use this needle just to show you how to use a pin. You basically are just gonna put it in, make it flat on the back, and push it back up, and it just holds the fabric in place while we're gonna sew it. So just so you guys know, we're gonna do the same thing on this side. And we're gonna sew that down as well, so that what it ends up being is kind of like a rectangle like this, but you have a cord attached to it. So I'm gonna take this out because this is my needle, not a pin, and I'm just gonna use my fingers to hold it, but I encourage you guys to use a pin if you're nervous. All right, we just wanna make sure that we're really not sewing the black cord at all. And this is gonna be a little bit of a tougher hand sew because you're now sewing through 4 layers of fabric. So in your sewing kit, there's a little thing that looks like a little metal cup. That's called a thimble. If you put your thimble on, you'll be able to push the needle through with your thimble and it won't hurt your hands. So just 1 stitch at a time. We're gonna stitch this line, try and make our stitches nice and even. And you can see the stitches are showing up on the front here. So we're just making our stitches nice and even, cruising along. Remember, you use that thimble if you need a little extra boost to get that needle through the 4 layers of fabric. It's pretty thick stuff, you know? And we're being very careful not to catch the black cord here. So when we get to the top, we'll do 1 more stitch just to be safe. Well, maybe not, maybe I'll just knot it right here. All right, so we're gonna do our same little knot right where we landed. We go in, make a loop, grab the needle, wiggle, wiggle to get the needle out, pull, pull, right? We tie a little knot right there. Go right where we landed, loop, grab the needle, pull, pull, perfect. And I can test that I didn't sew through my cord because I can still pull it. That's exactly what we want. Cut. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I need to rethread my needle. Maybe you guys do too. I'm not gonna make my thread quite as long because it's not as long of a piece that I'm sewing. Thread my needle, match up my ends, do a little booger knot, twist, twist, wiggle, wiggle, roll it right off, okay? Put my cord in, fold my edge over, and then just start sewing. So now you do the exact same thing on this side. We're just gonna go in and out on these pieces, making nice, neat little stitches, giving ourselves room, not sewing the black cord. Okay, we're just going up and down, sewing, and honestly, a thimble would make this easier. So if you do have a thimble, you just put it on this finger, and then when you put the needle in, you can use your metal thimble to push it down so it's not hurting your tender little fingy. All right. I tend to like to stay all on one side, but some people like to go in and then they put it in on the back. I think that that is a little bit harder when you're hand sewing. I personally like to just stay and go in and then right back out so I can make sure I'm sewing in a straight line. And if the needle gets stuck, you just give it a wiggle. Go in and out. Give it a nice wiggle. That was our last stitch. Awesome. And now right where I landed, I'm going to tie a knot. So I go in and out right where I landed, make a loop, grab the needle, wiggle, wiggle, pull. Do it one more time. Make a loop, grab the needle, wiggle, wiggle, pull, cut. And just like that, we made a mask. So you can wear this a few different ways. It should cover your nose and your mouth, like this. And to wear it, I'll take my mask off. I usually keep a mask around my neck when I work at the library in case someone comes in and I need to talk to them. So I'm gonna do this and make a little knot with my cord here because I don't need it. I know that it'll be tight on my face. What you guys should do is measure, so this piece should go on your head. Make it nice and tight, and then tie it back here. And just like that, you have a super cute mask that you made yourself. So I'm going to tie these together so that I don't have to make it into a bow every single time I wear it. I'm going to make that nice and tight so that it kind of looks like this. And then what you can do is keep it around your neck when you're hanging out at home. And then if someone comes to the door, you can just put it over your ears like that. And bam, you have a cute little mask. So I hope that you guys liked this activity, and I hope that you wear masks and stay nice and safe with your family if you go to the store or if you go and visit your friend's house. Now you have a really stylish mask to wear. And don't forget, this, not good. It needs to cover your mouth and your nose. And this mask is completely machine washable. So when you come home from breathing in it and sweating in it and like living your life with a mask on, make sure that you come home and throw it in the washing machine because it needs to be super clean to be able to do its job and keep you safe. Okay? All right, friends, I can't wait to see your masks that you make. Have a good day, happy sewing, and good luck.